Good morning. My name is Barbie Taylor, and I'm getting ready to do the Purse Pal by Lynn's Handmade. She's given me permission to do that. And if you want to see all the things I've handcrafted, either from patterns from other people or my own patterns, you can go to jeanniebags.com, JeannieBags.com. And all the information about the materials I'm using will be down in the description. So I'm going to point you down here. Hope you're having a good day. And let's see there we go. All right. So today we're doing purple. We're going to use a purple snap. And this is the snap tab. And the outer snap goes here. This is the zipper. We're going to use a number 3 zipper. Purple zipper. This is the inner piece for the card slots. And you can see all the card slots, and then the the snap goes here. And I've already put tape on the back, and we'll walk through that. And then here's the outside piece that has the zipper, and I've already put tape there. And then here's the lining, which is this is from Fabric Therapy. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I've already put tape on the back of that, and I'll show you how we do that. And then for the card slots, I'm using landscaping fabric. I've started using this on all my card slots. It's very thin and very durable, but you can see how thin it is. You can get it in rolls at Home Depot, and it'll last forever. This happens to be stuff I stole from my husband in the garage. All right, so those are all our pieces. And I am going to start by putting our 2 tab pieces together and top stitching over those. And you can, if you don't get this exactly perfect, you'll be able to do some trimming. I actually prefer to get it perfect. That way I don't have to do any trimming if at all possible. So I'm a little off, so we will, and actually you should do, start from the bottom, because the top you won't see, and you can certainly trim that off. I'll tell you, it really makes a difference doing this on your scan and cut. So there we go. I might have to do a tiny bit of trimming, but this is where we're going to put our snap. Word of caution, do your top stitching first before you do your snap. Otherwise, you can't get around that corner down there. So I'm using some purple thread, and we're going to start that. For this small piece, I like to use about a 3 stitch length, just so you can really see the nice stitches. I'm using a variegated purple, which will be fun on this bag. You want to stay about 1/8 of an inch away from the side. And then when you get down to the curve here, you're just going to go really slow and turn. This is all very visible on the bag. I will be edge coating this. You certainly don't have to, but it does have raw edges on it. So I'll snip these threads and then I'll show you. So there we have it. And I typically will decide which side is the prettier side. I think this is actually the prettier side where I'll put my snap. I'll go ahead and do that right now. You can see why I keep things in a little bucket, these snaps particularly. Okay, so I put this on the prettier side. And then I will put this. And it really doesn't matter which you put, but I typically put the male portion on the snap. And then I'm just using a handheld snap compressor. So I'll just put that there and then I'll compress it. And there you have it. So the tab is done. I might trim that up before I edge coat just a hair. All right. So we could actually go ahead and put the snap on here. Let's just go ahead and do that. And I always do a couple pieces of either Decaville Light or Decaville Heavy on this credit card slot where the other part of the snap goes, only because it's only one layer of vinyl and it probably tends to get the most pull factor. Just my opinion. So this piece goes on the inside, so you really won't see this at all. And then, and actually that was the male portion. I don't have my, this is the female portion of the snap. And then we'll just get that in there, compress it, and we're done. So that's what it looks like from the back. And I might trim that up just a hair, but let's just make sure it works. Works perfectly. Okay, perfect. The snap is done. And the next thing I'm gonna do is actually stitch on my little logo tag here. I get these tags from Heartwood and Hide. And I do about a 2.5 inch stitch length on this, and I will pull the threads to the back. So you don't back stitch. So you just pull that, get a little loop there to be able to pull that to the back. And you can use a stiletto to grab it. I just use my fingers. All right. I love this variegated purple thread. I really like anything purple. I don't know about you guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click and subscribe and like, and if you have comments, I'd be happy to hear those. All right, again, we're not going to back stitch because we're going to pull that to the back. Pull out a decent amount of thread. Hold on to them when you cut. That way you know which one it is that you're needing to pull on. All right, so then we have those 4 threads, and we are just going to tie those off. And I typically do 2 or 3 knots. Depends on the application. It's a very tedious process. You definitely want to make sure you leave your threads long enough so it's easy to pull these. A couple of these are a little short. And then I will burn this just ever so briefly. That way it stays. I'm using polyester thread, so there it is. There you have the tag. And that's what it looks like on the back. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so that piece is done. I think next, let's go ahead and do our credit card slot since we're here. Got our landscaping fabric. So we're gonna, there's a bunch of, there's a piece of tape below each credit card slot, one at the bottom, and you get the measurement for that in the pattern. And then again, there's one at the very top, and the measurement for that is in the pattern. And then I have, I did anyway, 5 more pieces of double-sided tape over here because you'll need those as we do the credit card slots. So I've got 5 pieces pre-cut over here. It just makes it easier. I had 5. I don't know where they went. But we're going to, on the bottom of that first credit card slot, we're going to take the tape off. And we're going to put that with the landscaping fabric, just like that, going up. And then we're going to top stitch just under that first credit card slot. And I'm going to increase my stitch length back to about a 3.5. And I am backstitching on these. Some people prefer to pull all those threads to the back, but I don't. I don't think, especially if you're using pretty similar thread, it's just very hard to tell. Plus, it's a little more secure, I think. All right. So there you have that. The stitching under that first card slot. And then we're going to pull this piece of tape on the bottom off paper, and we're gonna pull that. Don't pull too tight, but just snug, and put that there. And then have a card handy so that when you get this next piece of tape off and pull that up, you'll be able to test your card slot, because you want it to make sure. I think it's gonna be perfect, that it's not too deep, but also just deep enough. So you can see how it comes out. It's absolutely perfect. So Lynn gives you instructions and pattern for all of that. But again, I would be amiss if I didn't tell you to make sure you check each slot as you go. All right, so we pulled that landscaping fabric up, and now we're going to stitch just under that second card slot. Whoops. Clip those. And once you get the hand of these card slots, they are just so nice. All right, so one of those pieces of tape that we cut and that we had over here, we're just going to put on the bottom here, right there. And we're going to take that tape off, and we're going to pull that landscaping fabric down to create that second card slot. Pull that tape off up here. Stick the landscaping fabric. So what we've just done is create that second card slot. So let's make sure it works. It's perfect. All right, so now that landscaping fabric is up here. So we're going to stitch just under that third card slot. Again, another little piece of tape. She gives you the measurements of where to put these tape pieces as you're creating all your card slots. So again, I'm going to pull that down, not too tight, but snug. Pull this up, and before I do any stitching, I'll just double check that slot. Perfect. So I've got 3 done, and I'm gonna stitch under that 4th one. Oops, I gotta do it from the front side. What am I thinking? This vinyl is from INDO Love Creations. It's the Safino, I believe. It's absolutely gorgeous and very nice to sew with. Again, we're putting that piece of tape there. Pull that off. Snugly pull that down. Pull that up, creating the fourth card slot. Let's just check it. Perfect. And then we'll stitch under that fifth one. And believe me, the reason I emphasize double check your card slots every time, I've sewed a couple closed. It's very annoying. Very annoying. This is probably the most tedious part of the whole bag. So we're probably a good third of the way done with the bag already. Pull that up. Stitch under that 6 card slot. A lot of people prefer black bags, but it's kind of fun to have a nice little purple wallet. All right, so there we have it so far. We're stitched under all of our card slots. Now, how do we, so we've made this all 5. There's 5 created, and they're all perfect. So now the last one, we still put a piece of tape down here. And again, she gives you the measurements. I just have done it enough times that I can just eyeball it. Pull that down snugly. And then that's the purpose of this piece of tape up at the top. I don't know if you can hear my dogs. My husband's out playing ball with them. I have 2 golden retrievers and they are obsessed with playing ball. All right, let's just check this one. Okay, perfect. All right, so now this is just extra, so we will cut that off. Just make sure that when you cut it off, it's out of the seam allowance. So that's what you have. You have all your card slots and all your top stitching done. Your snap is on and your logo, that's where you choose to. There's several places you can put it. But so now all we're going to do is by closing this makes part of the purse pal. So I'm going to use some glue so it'll dry while we're doing the other pieces. And I just use this 3-in-1 glue, craft glue. You just want to make sure you don't get any here where the card slots fold down to. So just do it on all the edges. Doesn't take much. You're going to end up sewing this down anyway. And then you want to be pretty precise as you put this together. Just helps with not as much trimming that you need to do. And then we'll just clip it while we're finishing the other pieces. And I try and do the 2 corners first. I don't think I've made a purse pal in this Safino vinyl. It's very nice. I really prefer using tape. I'm kind of a mess when it comes to glue. I get it all over me. All right. Perfect. So there we have it. So we'll let that dry. Oh, nope. One more thing. Sorry, I forgot. We got a top stitch right along here that creates that slip pocket. So I'm going to turn, that's top stitching, so I'm going to turn my stitch length up to about 4. And I stitch about 1/8 of an inch from that top edge. So there we go. So that creates our slip pocket when we put it together on the front side. All right, so let's work on our lining. Let's just get our lining ready for attachment to that main zipper. So you can see I put pieces of tape on either side. My brother scanned and cut the slip for me. So I will fold that down, and again, that how she folds this down, the amount is in the pattern. Takes a lot of time to put a pattern together, so I always want to support those pattern makers. I probably will eventually do a written pattern. I have a lot of my own patterns that I sew, but I've never published them. So eventually I will. Now that I'm retired, a little more time. I don't know if there's any other retired ladies or men out there, but you know, when I first retired, I heard a lot of people say, oh, I never have enough to do. I'm so bored. And sometimes they end up going back to work. My husband and I, we have so much stuff to do. We can't, you know, get it all done. Plus we're doing some traveling, which helps, but we have tons of things going on. All right, so I just burn the edges of this. This is waterproof canvas. It's going to be in the seam, so you won't see it, but I don't want it to fray as I'm still putting it together. So I just do a real quick burn around. There we go. All right, so that got a little rid of all the little frays. All right, so we've got our tab done. We've got our credit card slots done. We've got our lining ready for our zipper. And now we just need to put our zipper in there. All right, so I had a number 3 zipper all ready to go. Let me just see. I'm thinking I might want to do a number 5 zipper. I think the pattern calls for a number 5, but I think this one actually will be just fine. I'm going to use this. I already have it ready to go. All right, so I do them one at a time. So I'm going to take this first piece of tape off. And I have the zipper going to the left. And I do try and get it on here very evenly because it is pretty visible. All right, let's take that other piece off. Perfect. And then don't forget to pull your zipper pull in there. If you have a huge zipper pull, you might want to make sure you pull it in first, but these are pretty small, so it comes right in. All right, so there we have that. I think it looks pretty even. All right, so we're not going to top stitch just yet. I will cut this little bit of excess off that's hanging over just so it doesn't get in my way as I'm stitching. I always cut my zippers too long. I much prefer to have them too long than obviously too short. All right, so here's our lining. And what we're going to do is put another couple pieces of double-sided tape. You can also use glue for this. You can use a, what do they call those? A glue stick if you want to. I just prefer double-sided tape. It just makes things so much easier. I do use glue. As you saw, I do use a little bit of glue. All right, so I just put some double-sided tape on either side of that opening so that when I go to put it on here, I have something to keep it in place. So let's, again, Just do one side at a time. So she gives you the information on this in the pattern, but you just want to make sure that it is good on your zipper and that it's even, for the most part, even all the way around that front piece. Okay. Take the second piece off. All right, so that's what you have. The zipper in the back, and you can see I have about the same all the way along the sides. I am going to glue this piece down, and I'm going to do that everywhere, along the sides and throughout. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little, just to keep it in place. Some people, again, they will use double-sided tape here, but this is perfect for glue. You don't have to be precise where it goes. All right, now we are going to top stitch that zipper. So this can be a little tricky. I've not really had any problems with it, but just be aware that as you're top stitching, you want to go on the outer far enough to catch the lining. So as I start, I'll peek underneath just to make sure that I am actually catching the lining. And I will pull these threads to the back. And I've got a 4 stitch length. So I won't back stitch. So you can, certainly can. There's absolutely nothing wrong with back stitching here. All right, I'm just going to look real quick. Am I catching that? I am, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. If you go about 1/8 of an inch away from that, oops, I don't know if you saw that, but my thread skipped. So I'm going to fix that. I don't like it when it does that. It does that because of the double-sided tape. It tends to skip. So let's fix that before we go any further. And it only does it on the corner. I don't know if you guys have experienced that or not, but it's very annoying because I don't like how it looks. All right, let's see. So you can see how it skipped and did a corner on there. I'm not having that. I try and do the very best I can, and sometimes stuff like that happens. It's all fixable. Most things in sewing are fixable. All right, let's try that again. This means we'll have 2 places to pull to the back, and that's okay. It started to do it again. I don't know if you saw that. There we go. There we go. Much better. Nope. Did it again. All right, I'm going to stop this and I'll fix it. All right, I'm back. So I had a little trouble and actually did it 3 times. So that tells me I need to clean off my needle, which I did, because it can get kind of goopy there. There's a little something I need to snip off. So I did pull my threads to the back, and so we will tie those off. And I had to do it over here too, because I had to restart. So let's tie those off. And then I'll show you how it looks here in the back. So, you know, double-sided tape is a blessing, but it's also a curse, I'll just tell you. I think it's worth it though. Let's just burn those ends. All right, so that's what it looks like from the front. Looks pretty good. I am using variegated threads, so that's what you see. And then, and what I was talking about, you want to make sure that you catch your lining all the way around that zipper. All right, so now we will definitely cut off any excess zipper. Just be sure you don't cut your lining or your front fabric. Which I, again, I'm telling you that because I have done it. Any excess, and then we'll burn those ends. That one is actually okay. Just keeps that zipper from fraying. I just really like doing it. And don't burn yourself when you do it. All right. So now, what we have to do, we're almost done, guys, is I am going to use glue again all around 3 edges, and then we are going to fold this together. That creates a zipper pocket. Just on the outer edges, you don't want to get any in the middle, because that's your zipper pocket. Doesn't need a lot because we're stitching that anyway. But again, we want to make sure that we're getting pretty precise on these corners to start. Clip those. I can already see I need to pull that just a little. There we go. And then do this corner. I just love these purse pals. Okay, we're gonna give this just a minute to dry. It doesn't really need much. All right, so there you have it, and there you have your zipper in there. All right, so just keep in mind with the pattern, you will have, I don't have anything on either side of these, but if you wanted to put your logo on this piece, it would need to go on this side. So here's the raw edge, and here's where it would need to go, somewhere on this side, because the credit card slots are going to go on this side. Now, you can put it in here, it just won't be seen from the outside. So we're going to put raw edges to raw edges together on this purse pal. Again, lining up all those little corners on each end. I use tons of clips. Can never have enough clips. And then I try and get pretty precise with this because I don't want to have to, if I don't have to, I don't want to do any trimming. That's just how I feel. And I would try and get really precise on this top because where the snap tab, I'll show you. Once you get that on there, it's pretty hard to trim that. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So now we would put our snap tab. I just snap it on there. And then we are going to hide it behind one of the lining pieces. So this is the back. Pull that up. You can see the lining in there. And we are going to sneak that end inside there so you cannot see that inside the pocket or anything. So you just want to make sure it's pretty straight. And then I just clip it. Actually, it needs just to come over just a hair there. Okay. So there it is. And that's what it looks like on the back. And so here's your zipper pocket, here's your slip pocket, and all your credit card slots. So now all we need to do is top stitch. And I do just a little over 1/8 of an inch. That gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I do have to trim it. And again, this is all very visible, so just go really slow. And I'm doing about a 4 stitch length, and I do back stitch, and I will back stitch a couple times over that slip pocket. All right, now you do not want to sew your snap tab down, so you'll move that so it's up. Turn the corner. Again, go as slow as you need to, holding things where they should be. Turn that corner. I think I don't know if you, so as you're watching me, you'll notice that this did not, I did something here, skip any stitches because there's no tape there. It's all glue. How about that? So I might have to rethink how much tape I use. Typically my machine doesn't have trouble with it, but it seems to today. All right, so there we have it. We're done. We're just going to do, I'll do some trim up. Zipper pocket. Slip pocket. And then all your credit card slots. So some people, you could leave it raw. Some people like the raw look. I am going to do purple edge paint on this. But that's what it looks like from the back. And that's what it looks like from the top. And it's done, except for the edge paint. I will do just a little bit of trimming so that when you put the edge paint on, it's pretty even there. But I do 2 coats of base coat, 2 coats of the color coat. In this case, it'll be purple. And then 1 coat of the, I use glossy. You can use matte too, top coat. So it's 5 coats. So and it takes about a good 30 minutes to an hour to dry in between coats. So it's time consuming, but it's not really labor intensive. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.